thank you, Billy, for joining me today, and welcome back, everyone. This is our third podcast with the Berkeley County Development Authority. So if you would like to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Jennifer, and thank you for having me here today. My name is Billy Milligan. I am Vice President of Commercial Metals Company, and I've been with CMC for about 25 years in a variety of different roles, and most recently Vice President of Government Affairs and Sustainability.
Well, thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about commercial metals and what they do?
Yeah, so what we like to say is that commercial metals creates a better world of which we all live in through the products and the services that we manufacture. We were founded more than 100 years ago in a single location in Dallas, Texas, which is recycling. And today we operate 60 metals downstream recycling centers, 10 steel mills, soon to be 11 with CMC Steel West Virginia, and 60 downstream fabrication facilities. We're committed to developing innovative products and solutions that strengthen and reinforce a wide range of industries in the U.S.
And mentioning the 11th in Berkeley County, why was Berkeley County chosen?
So we started the site search early in 2022, and we gave our site search team very general parameters. It was the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, and the Midwest. This facility will produce concrete reinforcing steel. And if you're familiar with concrete reinforcing steel, it's a critical component that goes into concrete to give it the tensile strength it needs. And it's primarily used in construction. So when you think about construction, you think about population centers. Where do people live? Where is the population migrating? And about 2/3 of the population in the United States is within a day's drive of Martinsburg, West Virginia. So it was not only attractive geographically from us, but also from a culture perspective. When we look at where do we want to be as a company, we like to have communities that have the same values that we do. And we found that here in Berkeley County.
This project will also revitalize the DuPont Potomac River Work site, which is amazing. It is currently known as a brownfield site owned by the Shockey property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's my understanding that the Potomac River Work site has not really had any industrial activity on it since the early 90s. It's been a while. And when we started evaluating this site, as you mentioned, Shockey, the developer, and DEP was in the process of looking really at the potential beneficial reuse of the property. So how can we take a property that has been stagnant for 30 years and make it something that is engaging and beneficial to the community. And I think CMC Steel West Virginia is really the first step in that process. And as you know, there are other things that are going on with that property that will also increase the value of that to the community.
Absolutely. There's also Torch Energy there as well.
Yeah,
that's
correct.
A solar farm. So moving along to everything up and running and employees and the starting wage. So how many employees will CMC employ, and what will the starting wage be?
Yeah, so, the facility at its full capacity will employ about 235 people, in various areas. They include everything from environmental to human resources, safety, accounting, maintenance, quality control, and obviously production and logistics. Obviously with all those positions, wages vary by position. But what we've committed to for the county is that we will bring about $76,000 a year in average wage over all those positions. The hiring process will occur in phases. The director of operations, which I think you met, Carlos Enuelo,
yes.
He will have the responsibility for the operating the entire facility. And he is actually in the process of relocating to Berkeley County. Initially, we'll focus on hiring areas that will support attracting employees, because that will be our biggest challenge, as it is everywhere, is staffing and educating and getting the workforce up to speed to be able to operate a steel mill when we become operational. Just a quick key point is that we've actually made our first hire for the facility, aside from Carlos, who's moving up here from Florida. We've hired a local person to head up all of our environmental, and which we think is important for us as a business, is to hire local people as well. We're happy to say that we're also looking for a human resources person to help us staff the facility, and that is a very critical need for us, and we'll be reaching out locally. We like to hire that person locally as well that has contacts in the community. The majority of the hiring will actually occur about 12 months prior to starting to install the equipment. And that's important because we want to get these people trained. We'll be partnering with the local college here and putting together a training program on how to operate the equipment. The manufacturing equipment, which will be in late 2023, early into 2024. And we want them to be a part of the equipment installation so that they fully understand how it works and how to operate it and can better maintain it going forward. To the training perspective, we have a program in place that we've used at some of our other startups when we started at Micromills. It's called the Modern Steelmaker, and we'll be rolling that out here locally in Berkeley County, where we train employees. They will be on site part of the time, and then there'll be classroom part of the time as well, to help them get up to speed about the expectations of operating a steel mill.
That's great. And I'm sure Blue Ridge Community and Technical College will be a huge asset and a partnership for commercial metals.
It is. We're already in discussions with Blue Ridge and also the high school with I believe it's James Rumsey program and further, building those relationships and for the kids that college is not an option. We would like to give them an option to earn a good manufacturing wage here in Berkeley County.
Yes. Yeah, and we appreciate that. We often think of a traditional steel mill. Can you explain the difference between that and a micro mill?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about, there's really two ways that steel is made today. One is using blast furnace technology, and that technology uses iron ore that you mine from the earth, and it also uses coal as a fuel. And if you've seen pictures of steel mills in the old Pennsylvania and probably even West Virginia at some point, it's billowing smoke. It's not very attractive for the environment. The micro mill or the electric arc furnace, which is the way we make steel, is not that way. We use recycled scrap metal, which we collect from the community, and we convert that into new steel and roll it into product and finished goods. It's I would say about 75% less greenhouse gas intensive than the old methodology. But that's the electric arc furnace. So if you look at specifically the micro mill, it takes that electric arc furnace mini mill one step further. So if you think about how the mini mill works, it melts the steel, the scrap metal. It goes into a casting bed, which casts it into what we call a semi-finished billet. And then it is cut into lengths, discrete lengths, and then stored. And when you're ready to make product, you heat it back up and put it through the rolling mill. The micro mill eliminates that reheating of the billet. So it goes directly from the furnace down into solidifying into a billet and directly into the rolling mill, which eliminates a lot of the energy that's required to heat it back up.
So CMC also, you mentioned, uses recycled steel, and to my knowledge, it's 100% recycled steel. Where do you get it from, and what impact does that have on the community?
Yeah, 100% of our steel production in the U.S. and in our European operations as well uses recycled steel scrap for our base material. We do buy it from the local community, not so much from an individual. So we will buy from local dealers and scrap brokers, which there are scrap brokers here in the Martinsburg area, which we've already started to make contact with. If you think about it, there's about 15 million vehicles that are scrapped every year in the United States. And you ask yourself, what would happen to those if we didn't have the electric arc furnace and this methodology? That would go into landfill. And, we recycle scrap and of about 19 billion pounds per year that we take old cars and washing machines and, anything that's worn out and recycle it back into new steel. For every ton of scrap steel that we use to make new steel, we we save the mining of 2,500 pounds of iron ore, 1,400 pounds of coal, about 120 pounds of limestone. So not only are we, creating to a circular economy, which is recycling products, we're also saving the earth from the mining activity as well.
Well, thank you. Also, you also mentioned that CMC uses less energy than traditional steel making. Can you explain that a little bit further?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, when the micro mill process specifically, which is the latest technology in the industry today, we developed that with our equipment manufacturer back in 2009, and we have since built 3 of those mills, and West Virginia will be our 4th. It's the process that it is what we call continuous. So it goes directly from the melting furnace into the steel mill without the need of a reheat furnace. Well, what a reheat furnace does is it uses a lot of natural gas to heat the material back up to rolling temperatures. And so since we go directly into the rolling mill at rolling temperatures, we don't need to use that natural gas. And it saves around 80% less natural gas energy to produce steel than does blast furnace, and about 82%, which really, and from the EAF perspective, which translates into about a 32% overall energy reduction, because we use a lot of electricity, as you can imagine, plus the natural gas that we save.
Yeah, that's amazing. So when will construction start?
So we're currently completing due diligence on the property. We expect to execute a purchase agreement in early May and purchase the property. And our plan is to start clearing the site after we have purchased the property. Then in June, we've been told that it's a date that we will get our air permit. So that's a kind of a gate for us. We cannot do a lot of site work with the exception of what's called grubbing, just clearing the rubbish off the site. But we can't start a lot of construction until we get our air permit. And working with the DEP, they've been extremely easy to work with and have given us a time frame of June 1st to have our environmental permit in place, of which we will then start full construction on the site. We expect it to take about 24 months to fully construct, install equipment, and commission the mill for full operation.
What industries do you serve?
So as I mentioned before, the steel rebar, which goes into concrete, is generally in the construction market. If you think about, as I said before, if you think about the population really being the driver of steel consumption, when industries or when the population is migrating, you have to backfill that with, you have to put in infrastructure for the people that are moving. You have to put in schools. You have to put in hospitals. You have to put in roads and bridges and wastewater treatment plants to fulfill the population growth and the population migration. And steel reinforcing bar goes into every one of those markets, and that's the traditional markets that we serve.
Well, speaking of all those different markets and the importance of having the community on your side, and does CMC find giving back to the community? What's the importance, and do you have any programs in place that you currently utilize?
Yeah, let me kind of start that conversation with just reading our guiding principles, because I think that's important in understanding what's important to us as a company and how we interact with our stakeholders. So our guiding principles state that we will always place the customer at the core of all we do, because without customers, we don't need to build a steel mill. We won't have employees. So the customer to us is number one. We stay committed to our employees because, again, without the employees, you can't operate a steel mill. And third on our guiding principles is giving back to our communities. We take seriously the responsibility that comes with being a good corporate citizen and are dedicated to make a positive impact in the local communities of which we not only operate, but which our employees live. And then finally, we have to create value for our investors, or we would not have capital to expand and grow our business. So with those in mind, we believe, and it's been shown by our action in the other communities that we operate in, that engaging and giving back to the community is critical to our success. We have charities that we support at the corporate office. So things like the Gary Sinise Foundation, where we go out and help them build houses for the critically wounded warriors that have come back from Iraq and Afghanistan that, can't live their life without some sort of accommodation. So we help them build houses. We give to United Way. But I think more importantly, we give the local operations the flexibility to understand what's important to the local community and to have them engage not only with monetary support, but also get engaged in the community, whether it be helping with a food bank 2 days a week or helping with a cleanup of a river or waterway or whatever it may be. We do encourage our employees and give them the time in order to do that.
Well, I wanted to say thank you because that is exactly having businesses that value what we value and bringing businesses here is very important. So I feel like we're on the same page and we value the same things. So are there any last thoughts that you have?
Yeah, we're just proud to be here in Berkeley County. As I said before, we think it's a perfect cultural fit for our company, and the community and at the local level and the state level has been very welcoming to us. And we just look forward to getting some equipment running and start to seeing some buildings going up so that we can, commission the building and become a part of that community that we do.
Well, I know the Berkeley County Development Authority is excited to help you and assist in any way. And we are happy that you have chosen Berkeley County. And
well, thank you very much. And again, as I said before, the county and the economic development team and the state have been just welcoming to us. And we look forward to the opportunity to get back.
Well, thank you for your time today.
All right. Thank you.